Hey guys, this is the MTG Noob here, and I'm here with.
Cybot again.
And in this episode for the Noobs, we're going to be talking about the play area. In the play area, you set up your games and you actually play other people.
But before we get into that, Noob, how about you tell them a little bit about their stops?
Alright guys, so when you go to your account settings, one of the most frustrating transitions you have to make from paper Magic to Magic the Gathering Online is setting stops. In real life, you could just rewind easily. You could tell people, hey, no, wait, I want to do this during your draw step, your upkeep. You make your opponent aware. However, the best solution they've come up with online is to set stops. So Moto gives you, or MTGO, gives you default stop. That usually is pretty good on your turn and on your opponent's turn. However, you might want to customize it and see what works best. If you usually like stopping on somebody's upkeep or draw step, depending on the format, then make a little check in the box. On your turn, they'll cover you for your main phase 1, your beginning attackers, attack, blocks, and then your main phase 2. I usually, especially against play and control, like to set a stop at my end step. This way I could respond if need be. On your opponent's turn, it doesn't do anything. It goes right to their combat. You have a check at their beginning, their attack step, their block. Now, usually if you want to respond to damage or you want to respond at the end of damage, I would put a stop, but not usually likely since damage on the stack is no longer in existence. However, I would like you to probably set a stop at their main phase 2 if you're a little bit worried, but as long as you have a check at their end step, you should be good. It really depends on how you want to customize it, which is nice, but make sure you find the settings that fit best for you, because if you don't, you're going to lose games and it's going to be very, very frustrating. Obviously, if you look at the multiplayer game setting, it's the same thing. If you play formats like EDH, Commander, any multiplayer two-headed giant online, you will get used to your stops from one-on-one, but they may need to be slightly tweaked.
With all these settings, you can also change them while you're playing. You can change your stops in the middle of play, so if a situation comes up that you need to have a different stop temporarily, you can do that. You don't have to do it before you start playing. Also, while you're in the account settings for your stops, if you hover over each of the stops, it'll give you a little bit of information about primary use for that stop and how often it's needed. So if you're not sure, go ahead and read these little tips, and that should probably help you determine which stops you need.
Yeah, great tip, Saibot. I know there's been times when I just go, what just happened? And then I know I learned from my mistakes and I check that stop for future. Now, if you want to play Magic cards, you got to end up in the play room. So if you look on the left side, this is called the play lobby. It's broken down into steps, which is much more intuitive than it used to be. Since you're probably a noob, you're going to be spending your time in the constructed open play section of the choose a game type. In this section, you could get your practice on. You have different types of practice features, which ties into step 2, which is your skill level. If you're just starting out, it means you're learning the ropes. Then in the just for fun section, you can be playing your fun, silly, wacky combo decks that nobody wants to play against but you. Then in the getting serious, it's like you're almost there. You're kind of getting the hang of things. Maybe you have a really good deck that you've been wanting to try out, and you try it out there. And finally, in the tournament practice section, you are going up against some serious competition. And I must say that the tournament practice section, they made it only match-based as opposed to single game based. So if you're really serious, you're practicing for a tournament, that's where you want to go. But the most important thing about the constructed open play feature is that it is free to play in this section. And for people who are just starting out, don't have a big collection, or learning the game, that is probably the best thing they can ask for. So Saibot, what's up with this limited tournament and this constructed tournament?
If you want to participate in some of the tournaments that they run, they have two options. There's constructed tournaments, which you build your deck and you go play, and there's limited tournaments, which you do sealed and drafts. They have two different tournament types. There's queues, which will fire off whenever they hit the limit of players. Then there's the scheduled daily events, where these happen at a certain time each day, and as many people can join them as they want, but there is a minimum requirement for the event to actually fire. These ones, the payouts are a little bit better, but you're going and you're actually competing against people who are serious, so don't jump in there until you're ready, or you'll probably be disappointed. So for step 3, the options are going to be different depending on the options you chose in step 1 and 2. For constructed open play, first you have to select a deck in a format. When you select a deck, it'll automatically select the format for you, and if you select the format first, it'll filter your deck list. There's also a multiplayer options. You can pick solitaire if you want to practice, one-on-one is normal. There's also free-for-all, which is 3 to 6 players, and there's no teams. There's two-headed giant, three-headed giant, 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3, Emperor, and Commander. And then you also get to pick player options, which is which people you're willing to play, all players or only your buddies, and to allow watchers. If you're shy and you don't want people to watch you, you can disable watchers. For constructed tournaments, you also have to select your deck in your format, and it'll do the same thing as in the constructed open play. And then you get to pick your tournament structure. For queues, there are 2 options. There's 2-player 1 round option, or 2-man as people like to call them, and then there's the 8-player 3-round Swiss. And then for the scheduled tournaments, there's the 4-round daily events, which is Swiss, and then the Premier with top 8, which is Swiss, and then the top 8 battle it out in a single elimination tournament. For limited tournaments, the options are the same for all tournament styles: queues, scheduled, and release queues. The first thing you can filter is by format, which is just the set and the type of event you're going to do, either sealed or booster drafts. Next, you can pick your tournament structure. For queues, there are single elimination and Swiss for both sealed and draft. And then for scheduled events, there are 4-round Swiss daily events, and then Premier Swiss events with top 8 single elimination. For draft, there's Premier Swiss with single elimination top 8 also. And then the last filter you can pick is phantom events. These are events where you don't get to keep the cards you open, but they are a little bit cheaper. After you fill out all the steps, the new feature in the beta is the next game button. This will go to the next game that meets your filter settings, or it'll create a new game for you, so you don't have to look at the big list and try to catch the one that just before somebody else does. It'll automatically do it all for you now. And another new feature is your recent choices, which you can automatically pick previous settings and it'll filter it all automatically for you, and you get to just hit the button and go.
That sounds real nice, actually. I think I'll be setting that up later. Just to recap, go play for fun, get some practice in. You can jump into a tournament, try to win some packs and get some experience like that, and you're going to have a good time in this room. And now that you have set your stops, hopefully, and are ready to get gaming, we're going to take you into episode 7, where we are going to give you a more in-depth look at how to create a deck. Thanks for watching, and please check out the mtgnoob.com.
Thank everybody for watching, and we will see you next time.